Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Able Voices podcast. I'm Dr. Rhoda Bernard, founding managing director of the Berklee Institute for Accessible Arts Education, and I am proud to present this podcast featuring disabled artists and arts educators. We are inviting artists with disabilities to be guest hosts for the Able Voices podcast. Today, you'll meet our next guest host, Manuel. Manuel is a full-time music producer, content creator, and actor. Jay has worked with companies such as Coca and Snapchat. Jay's beats have been used by thousands of recording artists worldwide. In terms of services, Jay offers beats for sale, custom beats for artists and companies, content creation for social media campaigns, and much more. When it comes to working with clients, Jay is very hands-on, and that hands-on approach sets him apart from others in the field. Jay's joy comes from seeing others succeed and being a part of their journey. Welcome, Jay. We are delighted to have you as the next guest host of the Able Voices podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
We're really happy to have you here. I'd like to start off by asking you to tell us your story as an artist. How did you start as an artist, and how did you get to where you are today?
So, I started making beats back in high school, and really, I didn't even think of it to be a career at first. It was just something fun. We had a family friend that he had Logic, which is a software on his
Mhm.
MacBook. So I got introduced to it pretty early on, and then I ended up using a software called Mixcraft, and that was the first software that I used to start making beats on. And then once I got to college, that's when things got serious. I downloaded FL Studio, which is what I use currently.
Mhm.
And I had already been using the name Mini Producer because for those who obviously can't see me, I'm 3'4", so it was really just a play on words and more so a situation I can't control of being a little person. So I decided to call myself Mini Producer, and it's just been that way ever since.
So you started in high school. What was the impulse to get started making beats?
So, you know, the biggest thing for me is once I realized you could put all these sounds together and make something like a finished product, I was like, wow, this is really cool. You don't realize what you can do with music until you're really getting involved because you just hear stuff on the radio and you don't really look at yourself like, oh, wow, I could actually do this and be that person that creates something. And so once I got started making, beats and just playing around, I just couldn't stop. And I'd already been taking voice lessons and piano lessons already.
Mm.
So this just really helped with putting all of those lessons together and really making something out of it.
So music was already a big part of your life, and this was a whole new way to do that, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, yes.
Very cool. So next, I'd like for our listeners to learn more about your experiences as a disabled person and as a disabled artist.
So, in regards to just in general being a disabled person, I have osteogenesis imperfecta type 3, which is a rare brittle bone disorder, and I'm also autistic and I'm hard of hearing, so I utilize hearing aids as well. And with that, there's different, components to all of these. So, with osteogenesis imperfecta, or for short, OI, it's a physical disorder. So, I deal with daily chronic pain, and also I've had over 200 fractures
Wow.
and 20 something surgeries as well. I utilize a power wheelchair to get around full time because I'm unable to walk. And then, as I mentioned, I am a little person, so being 3'4" is it's hard to reach the cabinets. So, there's that. And then of course with being autistic, which is cognitive, that just affects how I really see the world and perceive things. I have some sensory and a lot of other components to that as
Mhm.
well. And then lastly, with being hard of hearing and utilizing hearing aids, I have a mild hearing loss right now. So the hearing aids just help enhance the hearing that I kind of have lost, and those help me a lot. And yeah, so that's how it affects me just in general. being disabled, but as an artist, it's more so of how other people perceive you, right? Like society, and less of how I perceive myself. Because when you're going out into the world, I mean, I do deal with bullying because of how people like perceive me. And then also, being taken serious has been a problem that I've had as well. Is because like people will look at you and think of what you're capable or what you're not capable of already without even knowing you. So that's something that I've had to deal with. And then also even getting paid sometimes, like people don't take your work as serious at times to like want to
Mhm.
pay you, even though you're, maybe you've been doing it as long as someone else or your able bodied peer. So that's something that I've had to like work through. And that's definitely something that I've dealt with as a disabled artist and person in general. But I'm always grateful for when people like do take me serious and know what I have to offer.
I really appreciate how you put that, and it really made me think. And I want to underscore something that you shared for our listeners. You talked about how, without even interacting with you, people have a deficit perception just from what they see. And that influences whether they treat you seriously, how they understand you, how they interact with you. That obstacle is there. And, and that's really, I think that's something that a lot of non disabled people really need to think about because that is such an unfair, completely unjust barrier. It's a huge barrier that you have to deal with all the time. And then I start to think about, and in your case, it's really interesting, right? There are visible disabilities and invisible disabilities, and you
Yes.
actually have both.
Yes.
And the visible disability, sure, that I can see how with the visible disability, a physical disability in this case, right, that someone can see something. And so minute they see something, unfortunately, it goes to deficit
Yes.
for a lot of people. So that's severely problematic. And then with an invisible disability, they
Yeah.
might see something different or have a first interaction that feels different and immediately go to deficit. What
Yes.
we and that to me, it's so rooted in the medical model and in this
Hmm.
old way of thinking. I keep quoting Stella Young, the late Stella Young, who says that people believe that disability is a bad thing, capital B, capital T. And
Yeah.
that is, of course, not true. Not to
Yes.
say that disability is easy, but it's not how people understand it. People misunderstand it. And that misunderstanding leads to the way that the medical model holds on and all the deficit thinking and all what you're describing that goes with it. We have so much work to do to educate
Yes.
people, so much work to do. And I just really appreciate the way you described it in your response.
Thank you.
So thank you. So you spoke a little bit about this already, but because it sounds like you were doing voice, you were doing piano. Tell us a little bit about your arts education.
So, as I mentioned, I have taken piano lessons, and I started doing that when I was a kid. I probably like 5. I started taking piano lessons really young, and then I started to take vocal lessons when I got older. I was in the chorus when I was in middle school. I was in honors chorus, and so I've had experience in that regard. And then as far as just education wise, I do have an entrepreneurship degree, and I also participated in the music business program that we had. Although I didn't complete all of it because it was going to delay my graduation, I did do a majority of the classes, and I got to utilize that experience just to help me connect with other people on
Mhm.
campus that also did music and learn about the business through guest speakers and just through, the school curriculum that we had for that program. So I'm really grateful for that. However, mostly of what I would contribute to my experience is just real life experience and connecting with, people on campus outside of the program, because I always say that like everyone in college is at least an artist one time, I feel like. So it was really easy to be able to connect with people. And I had, the setup in my dorm room, my speakers, a microphone,
Yeah.
and things like that. So it was easy for artists to come and record and just really navigate that space of making music and working with other people. So I would say that, my college education and my lessons helped. However, the real life experience and getting connected with other people definitely has contributed a lot to where I am now.
Makes a lot of sense to me. I love how you describe the ways that you want to uplift other people. So, lots of talented artists bring an enormous amount of skill to bear and have a lot to share and have something to say. The difference I hear in you, one of many, but the difference I want to highlight is it's about the connections with other people and how you
Yes.
do that. Not everybody can do that. And how people gravitate to you and the joy that you get from working with other people. It's very, when you talk
Yes.
about, so people can't see, I can see your face lights up when you talk about working with other people.
Yes. I really do enjoy being able to work with other people because everybody has a story, and so it goes further than just the music, which I really enjoy because once you really get to know people, you learn a lot about someone, and so I feel like maybe that's related to how I've felt myself. When people get to know me, they get to see the type of person that I am.
Mhm.
So I really like to do the same for other people and try to get to know someone, and I'm able to learn a lot about who they are. And I've really been fortunate to connect with a lot of different artists and of course companies and brands and stuff like that. So I've just been really grateful for that because, as I mentioned, everybody has a story and it goes beyond just the music.
I love that. Thank you for that. So you're going to share right now a beat with us. So do you want to
Yes.
say anything about what we're about to hear?
Yeah, so I'm gonna share one of my beats. The beats that I like to produce a lot of times are very melodic, so I'll either feature, piano or guitar. So when you hear this, it's definitely gonna utilize the instruments that I enjoy most of all. And of course, I like to have 808s or, what most people know as the bass. And so yes, I really am looking forward to you listening to this and I hope you enjoy it.
Terrific.
Minnie, that's major.
Thank you so much for sharing that with our listeners. They can get a real sense of your work. Can you talk a little bit about what you're working on right now?
So right now, I've actually been doing quite a lot in the content creation space specifically. So I am connecting with more brands. I've been doing more acting roles, which I've been wanting to get more into, and really just exploring a lot of different areas because, of course, I'm still working with artists in regards to music and, companies that are needing beats. However, I just have so many components to who I am as a person. So I like to be able to explore all of those things. And I've also been taking a deeper dive into the fashion aspect because as
Huh.
a little person, it's very important, at least for me, to like dress nice. And sometimes it's hard to find clothing that I can wear and that fits me right. So I really have been looking to explore more with collaborating with companies who work with those with disabilities and in agencies and stuff like that to do more roles that, also fit within the fashion space, acting space, and things like that. So I'm just really having a fun time and I love it, honestly.
That's wonderful to hear. And I love all the different angles that you're working at the same time. That's really cool. Last question for you. What advice would you give to a young disabled artist?
I would say to a young disabled artist to have a really great support system if you can, whether that is family, friends, social media, whatever that looks like for you, because that's something that's helped me tremendously is
Mm.
having a really great support system because it can get tough sometimes. And having people that are there for you in your corner really helps you keep going. And also remembering that you do have a purpose and that you are meant to be here. And, even if things are looking tough and you don't feel like you'll be able to accomplish it, like you've got the power within you to make what you want happen. If no one tells you, like I believe in you and I don't even know you, but I just want if you need to hear that, then just know like I'm someone that's in your corner from all the way over here.
Thank you very much for that. We all need someone to believe in us and to, we all need support and the ways to find that. Really beautiful. Thank you. Jay, I want to thank you for sharing your experience and your thoughts with us today. We are really looking forward to our next episode where you will be our host.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it as well. Thank you so much.
Able Voices is a production of the Berklee Institute for Accessible Arts Education, led by me, Dr. Rhoda Bernard, the founding managing director. It is produced by Daniel Martinez del Campo. The intro music is by Kai Levin, and our closing song is by Sebastian Batista. Kai and Sebastian are students in the arts education programs at the Berklee Institute for Accessible Arts Education. If you would like to learn more about our work, find us online at berklee.edu/BIAAE or email us at BIAAE@berklee, that's LEE.edu.